this week's episode of Whether or Not we have Drew Narsutis at the Weather Desk, a feature by Micheal Spagnolo on the classification of tropical cyclones, and we're diving deep into the deep sea stories with your Nature in the News. All this and more coming up right now. Hello, I'm your host, Ann Rodden.
And I'm your forecaster, Drew Narsutis.
Hurricane Matthew has made quite the impact on the southeastern U.S.
It sure has, making landfall in South Carolina and bringing power outages to over 2 million people. Quite an impact indeed.
Yeah, it's a lot of rain for them as well. And speaking of rain, the rain we had on Thursday has made its way out. And it's looking to be a pretty nice weekend here in State College.
Pretty nice weekend is an understatement. It should be a great weekend for the families coming out for Parents Weekend this weekend at Penn State, and should just be a great overall time to get out and really just show them the beauty that our state has to offer.
Yeah, especially with all those fall colors with the leaves.
Sure is. But now it's time to take a look at our Nature in the News.
In pictures, the Arctic appears pristine and timeless, with its barren lands and icy landscape. In reality, the area is rapidly changing. Scientists are working to understand the chemistry behind these changes to better predict what could happen to the region in the future. One team reports that the sea salt could play a larger role in the formation of local atmospheric pollutants than previously thought. Nitrogen oxides are pollutants that sunlight lead to the formation of ozone. The gases can be processed in the atmosphere and be deposited on Earth as nitrates, which can get trapped in the snow. In sunlight, snow can act as a reactor in which nitrates may be transformed back into the nitrogen oxide gases. In the Arctic, sea ice and snow contain salt and other impurities that can possibly alter the efficiency of the process. Scientists found 40 to 90% more gas in areas with salt in the ice than with no salt. This result suggests that the sea ice and salty snow, which have previously not been considered as factors in the balance of ozone-forming chemicals in the atmosphere, should be a part of future models.
A few weeks back, I reported on the eventual demise of the Great Barrier Reef. However, a tragic death for the ocean coral may not necessarily mean the end for its former inhabitants. Scientists have new evidence that while a majority of coral reef can adapt to warmer waters, most will probably opt to relocate to cooler parts of the ocean. In experiments using common coral reef fish around the world, researchers found that these fish were capable of adapting to living in water 4 to 8 degrees Fahrenheit above their normal summer temperatures. However, when given the slightest chance, the fish moved to cooler waters. Fish in the Great Barrier Reef must now choose to relocate or adapt. Let's just hope they choose one of the two so that we don't lose the entire coral reef ecosystem.
8 students who recently earned undergraduate degrees at Penn State have been named National Science Foundation Graduate Research Fellowship Program recipients for the 2016-2017 academic year. These students will join the graduate degree programs at universities across the U.S. and here at Penn State. They're pursuing advanced degrees in the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics disciplines, as well as in education, learning research, and research-based social and behavioral science disciplines. The NSF Graduate Research Fellowship Program is the oldest graduate fellowship of its kind, beginning in 1951, and works to ensure that the U.S. maintains a strong human resource base in the sciences and engineering. Each will receive a 3-year annual stipend of $34,000, along with $12,000 cost for education allowance for tuition and fees. Opportunities for international research and professional development, and they get the freedom to conduct their own research at any accredited U.S. institution of graduate education that they choose. Congratulations, students.
Did you know that the atmosphere isn't the only medium that has fronts? Ocean fronts occur when different bodies of water meet and are typically marked by strong gradients in temperature, salinity, and flow, as well as color even sometimes. Recently, a team from Plymouth University examined the feeding behavior of breeding northern gannets in the Celtic Sea and found something pretty shocking. In the majority of cases, the birds perform shallow dives with less underwater swimming when at ocean fronts, signifying the possible presence of abundant food close to the water's surface. This is a significant finding because these ocean fronts are great habitats for a variety of marine animals, and thus will be designated as marine conservation zones. Knowing where these fronts are helps direct conservation efforts and research to areas that may have been previously overlooked or understudied. After a cool week here in State College, we are going to be treated to a wonderful weekend. This cold front that came through Thursday is going to be bringing drier and cooler conditions into the area Friday, and a high-pressure system parked almost right on top of Pennsylvania is going to be keeping the skies pretty well clear throughout the day. This is going to continue into Saturday. We see these sunny conditions continuing. High-pressure system moving a little bit off to the northeast, but still a great day to go outside. The fall colors are in peak around central Pennsylvania this time of year, so go on out, check that out. However, Wednesday, we are seeing this low-pressure system slowly moving west. It will be coming into the area of the Chicagoland area and Midwestern states around a Saturday evening. Behind it, very cool air, and Sunday we see this cool air and cold front move towards the northern parts of Pennsylvania. Very humid air attached with this, and a bit of rain, maybe about a quarter of an inch of rain to be seen. However, this cold front will not be moving through State College, so we will be seeing some not that cold temperatures that we usually see whenever rain associated with a cold front comes through, because the cold front will not be passing us. So, as a result, Friday we are going to be seeing 58 degrees outside, warm, sunny day, beautiful day to go outside, great start to your weekend. Saturday, we are seeing, or Friday night, we will be seeing the temperatures drop down to 34. Some models even predict it going below freezing. This is due to the relatively dry air and cool skies, and clear skies that will be dropping our temperatures all the way to our low dew point of about 32 degrees. Saturday, we will see these temperatures rebound to about 59 degrees. Great fall day. Go check out the fall colors with your families. It is Parents' Day after all. Check out the Penn State Arboretum. Sunday, we will see these temperatures rise a little bit more because the cold or the low on Saturday evening will not be very low because the dew points are increasing with this oncoming cold front, and we'll be seeing mostly sunny skies there. Sunday night, however, is when we will be, or evening tonight is when we will be seeing most of our rain. 55 degrees, a slightly rainy evening, but precip looking at about a quarter of an inch. So just a great evening to stay inside, enjoy the rain. Anything. So now, let's take a look at Micheal Spagnolo's feature on tropical cyclones.
Tropical cyclones bring a variety of impacts when they make landfall: strong winds, storm surge, inland flooding, and even tornadoes. However, only one of those major impacts is used to rate the intensity of tropical cyclones, and that is wind speed. In the North Atlantic and East Pacific, the National Hurricane Center uses the Saffir-Simpson scale to rate tropical cyclone intensity. It uses the maximum sustained wind speeds measured in a tropical cyclone for its rating, with a named tropical storm beginning at 39 miles per hour and a Category 1 hurricane at 74. Category 5 is anything faster than 157 miles per hour. With different ocean basins and forecasting offices across the world using different scales, it can be tough to compare ratings from region to region. One would think that even comparing the maximum sustained winds in a tropical cyclone would be enough, but even these sustained wind speeds cannot be accurately compared.
Different basins measure tropical cyclone intensity differently. For example, in the North Atlantic and Eastern Pacific basins, the National Hurricane Center uses 1 minute average maximum sustained wind speeds, which means that the maximum winds at any point in a hurricane averaged over 1 minute. The winds can get higher than that for part of that 1 minute and lower than that for part of that 1 minute, but the average for 1 minute is the maximum sustained winds. However, in the Western Pacific, the Japanese Meteorological Agency uses 10-minute maximum sustained winds. And of course, it's harder to maintain a very high wind for 10 minutes than it is for 1 minute. So a tropical cyclone will generally have a lower 10-minute maximum sustained wind than a 1-minute maximum sustained wind. Those difficulties, those differences, and the fact that there's not a uniform metric for measuring tropical cyclone intensity or even recording tropical cyclone intensity is a challenge for comparing these energy metrics among the different basins, as well as a challenge for looking at climatological signals because the metrics are simply different among different basins.
One rating that is the same regardless of the region is one almost exclusively used by scientists called Accumulated Cyclone Energy, or ACE.
Accumulated cyclone energy is the integral or the sum of the square of the sustained wind speeds over the lifetime of a tropical cyclone. For instance, if a tropical cyclone has a maximum sustained wind speed of 100 knots, it will contribute a certain amount of ACE points.
Entire hurricane seasons are often compared to its ACE generation, but ACE does not take into account the size of an individual tropical system's wind field.
For example, if you have a very large, broad tropical cyclone with a large radius of maximum winds, it would have a larger impact and actually generate more energy than a small tropical cyclone with equal or even greater maximum sustained winds. So while ACE is a good approximation, it probably isn't the best metric to compare individual storm to storm in terms of the total energy. For example, Hurricane Sandy, as it was about to make landfall in the Northeast, would have had a relatively low ACE contribution at that time because it only had maximum sustained winds of approximately 70 knots, but it had such a huge wind field that its integrated kinetic energy, or IKE, would have been very high. And of course, that very high integrated kinetic energy was manifest in destructive storm surges along the mid-Atlantic and northeast coast.
Hurricane Matthew was a testament to the meteorological community's struggle to communicate tropical cyclone threats. Their strength and label is solely judged on its max winds before landfall, when, as we saw last week, the inland flooding in the Carolinas and the storm surge in Georgia were a much larger impact. The National Hurricane Center has acknowledged this issue, providing prototype storm surge watches and warnings this hurricane season, with more changes likely in the future. For Weather or Not, I'm Michael Spagnolo.
Welcome back for your extended forecast. First, let's take a look at our weekend recap. 58, 59 degrees Friday, Saturday. Pretty great conditions out there. Friday night is going to get a little bit chilly with these low dew points. However, they will rise Saturday and bring 40 degrees, so not as cold Saturday. Sunday, 65 degrees with a few clouds in the sky. And then Sunday evening, we do get a 50% chance of a little bit of precipitation. Looking at our extended forecast, we can see that we're going to have much above average temperatures this upcoming week, possibly 70 degrees Tuesday. The average for this time of year is at 60 degrees, so just a wonderful day out there. A little bit of a chance of rain on Thursday, possibly 30%, but not that much that we should really be worried about. So overall, wonderful week to be had for next week.
Well, thank you for the forecast, Drew. It does seem to be a great weekend to head on outdoors.
It sure will be. The fall colors around central Pennsylvania are going to be near their peak this weekend, so just a great time to get out there and view them for yourself.
Yeah, and speaking of fall, it's time for our Weather Whiz quiz question. Early in the show, we asked what word was commonly used before the 16th century to refer to the autumn season. Is it A, crop season, B, fall, C, the reap, or D, the harvest?
Let me tell you, if you guessed the letter D, you're correct. The word harvest is common in some West Germanic languages such as Dutch and German. However, as the population shifted from the country to urban areas, the word harvest lost the reference to the time of year.
Yeah, and it actually seems to be a great harvest weekend.
It sure will be good to go out there, get your hands dirty and your thumbs green.
Certainly going to be harvesting my pumpkin patch. Okay, well, that's all the time we have for now on this week's episode of Whether or Not. I'm your host, Ann Rodden.
And I'm your forecaster, Drew Narsutis. Have a wonderful weekend.